Well, hi, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with my October reading plans because somehow the month of September has slipped away from us. And so we're here on October 1st, beginning of the month. And I did not put out a video for my October reading plans, but now that we are done with September, I thought I better get that out there. And so that's the gist of this video. Now, with that being said, one of my next videos is going to be a book chat on the book Pirate Queens. This is a book that was sent to me from Casemate Publishers, and I read that this week, early in the week, first couple days of the week. I got that read, and very interesting book. And so I wanted to report back on that. So be looking forward to that video. So for this month, what am I going to do? So one of the big projects that we got going here at the Ruttenberg Library is the TBR elimination project. And that is to take all of my past TBR lists and actually start going through them and reading those books. There are a bunch of them that I got half done or 2/3 done and then just never followed through. And so I am all about making little sticky note lists on my desk, to-do lists, and then checking them off. And then at the end, being able to look at that checked off list and feel really good about myself, ball it up, throw it away, and move on to the next list. And so that's what my plans are for my reading as well. I've got lots of other books that are going to be thrown in the mix, but I want to eliminate those TBR lists. So with that being said, these first, actually on this stack of books for October, 4 of the 5 are from the TBR lists of the past. And so the first one on the stack, which I should finish, I believe, tomorrow morning, I think I'm just going to read it and knock it out, is Abraham Lincoln, Slavery in the Civil War, Selected Writings and Speeches. And this is edited by Michael P. Johnson. And I've been dipping in and out of this for the past 3-4 months, just a little bit here and a little bit there. And sometimes, honestly, on my desk, it gets buried in a stack of books, and then I forget about it for a week or two, and then I come back to it. But anyway, I've been trying to this week knock this out, and so I've been reading 10 pages or so a day, and I am now on, page 172, and it's got 210 pages of text, and so I'm probably just going to read straight through this tomorrow morning. I might dip into it a little bit later today just to get a little bit more of it read to ensure that I get it finished. But I should be finishing this one tomorrow. But this is the first book in my October reading plans. Note that I am not calling it an October TBR list, because if I do that, then half of these books won't get read. And I just got bad habits of that. So I'm just going to call it my reading plans for October. So the next one on the list, and this one I don't even know that we'll get done because we've been reading through this. I've been doing a buddy read with Peg over at the History Shelf. Great channel. If you don't follow Peg, go check out her channel and subscribe, watch her videos. She does a lot of good stuff over at her channel. I am guessing that if you watch mine, you probably watch hers as well, because we have very similar reading tastes in a lot of ways. But anyway, this book, Catastrophe, 1914, Europe Goes to War by Max Hastings. And we've been reading, a chapter a week or so for the last month and a half, I guess, and maybe 2 months. And we're enjoying it. It is good. It's all about, just like it says, the year 1914, and it's talking about the beginnings of the war, and it's looking at all of the nations of Europe and what was going on. And this morning, the chapter that I read this morning was all about Russia beginning its advance on the Eastern Front against Germany and Austria. And when it made that advance, it probably didn't put enough men into battle against Germany. Should have maybe taken them a little bit more seriously. And so this morning's chapter was about the Battle of Tannenberg and that disaster. And so I think Max Hastings is doing an excellent job of telling the story, giving you some ins and and outs. He's talking about, the head generals, the leadership, and he's also talking about the guys on the low end of the totem pole who are the everyday soldiers. And so it's a really good look at just what was going on. And the one thing that really amazed me this morning when I was reading was, I guess it didn't surprise me really, but I mean, just the amount of atrocities that were done on the Eastern Front by both the Germans and the Russians as they went through right there on the border, with Poland and in and out of Poland. And so it amazed me that there was that much just war against civilians, I guess. And it kind of irritated me actually, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, we're going to continue reading this. I don't think we'll get it done, obviously, this month because we've been doing just a chapter a week, and we've got like 8 or 9 chapters left. So, it's probably going to be a couple more months. But we're going to continue to read through that. Again, good book. Highly recommend it so far anyway. All right, so the next 3 books here. So the first one is the other book that Casemate sent me, and this is from the Snake Eater Chronicles. This is Direct Legacy, and this is book 3 in the Snake Eater Chronicles, and this is by James Stieskel. We'll just say that, Stieskel, and I apologize to the author for butchering his name again. But anyway, I read the introduction, or not the introduction, the prologue to this, and I hope to today dip into this a little bit further. I'll probably do that maybe even right after this video and go a little bit further in it, but I'm going to hope to knock this out in this next week or 2, and good book so far. The next book that I got, this was actually from Paul. What was his channel name? He isn't on, I don't believe he's on BookTube anymore. Paul Reads and Writes, or Paul, oh man, I looked it up this morning what his channel name was. He was also, I think, the Southern Reader was another name he had for his channel. But anyway, I looked to see if he was even on BookTube anymore, and he's no longer on BookTube, but he had sent this to me in my first year on BookTube. It was October of my first year, and so I was still a brand new BookTuber. It only had a BookTube channel for 8 or 9 months or so, and he had a 200 subscriber contest, I think it was, and so he put in a drawing, and I won one of the books, and this was one of the choices, The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. And so I read the introduction this morning, and this is another one I'm going to probably dip into later today and into tomorrow. And I thought, what a good way to get into October and, like the Halloween mood, than to read a book about bad dreams. A little bit of Stephen King. So his books usually read fairly quick, so I'm pretty sure I will get this finished by the end of the month. And this book is a collection of short stories. I think it was it 18, I think, different, I'm not going to count, but 18 different short stories. Let me read the inside of the book jacket to you. So since his first collection, Night Shift, was published 35 years ago, Stephen King has dazzled readers with his genius as a writer of short fiction. In this new collection, he assembles 20 stories, some of which have never appeared in print, some of which King has revisited and revised. He introduces each with a passage about its origins or his motivations for writing it. There are thrilling connections between stories, themes of morality, the afterlife, guilt, what we would do differently if we could see into the future or correct the mistakes of the past. Afterlife is about a man who died of colon cancer and keeps reliving the same life, repeating his mistakes over and over again. Sounds like Groundhog Day. Several stories feature characters at the end of life revisiting their crimes and misdemeanors. Other stories address what happens when someone discovers that he has supernatural powers. The columnist who kills people by writing their obituaries and obits. The judge in The Dune who, as a boy, canoed to a deserted island and saw names written in the sand and the names of people who then died in freak accidents. In Morality, King looks at how a marriage and 2 lives fall apart after the wife and husband enter into what seems at first a devil's pact they can win. Magnificent, eerie, utterly compelling, the stories in The Bazaar of Bad Dreams comprise one of King's finest gifts to his constant reader. I made them especially for you, says King. Feel free to examine them, but please be careful. The best of them have teeth. And so, I was looking at getting that one read. It was on my original October reading list in 2020. It was on a TBR list in 2020, and it was on the TBR list in 2021. And so now it's on the October reading plans, not the TBR, because we don't want to mess that one up again. But anyway, the other book, the last book that I plan to get read in the month of October is October 1964. I thought with the World Series coming soon, I thought this would be very, very appropriate. This is by David Halberstam, and it's another wonderful baseball story of his. I've read a couple of other ones that I thoroughly enjoyed. Look at that. I even got my baseball bookmark ready to go for this book. But this book says, in 1989, David Halberstam published Summer of 49, and that's the one I read. I know I talked about it. I can't remember if I reviewed it or not for the channel, but I know I talked about it, and it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was about the Yankees and the Red Sox, and it was just good stuff. So Summer 49, which became a #1 New York Times bestseller. It was a compelling portrait of baseball in an America as yet unchanged by affluence, technology, and social progress. The players, almost all white, had been raised in harsh circumstances. The games were played in the afternoon on grass and were broadcast on radio. The teams traveled by train, and the owners had dictatorial power over the players. Here also was the story of the Yankees winning the first of their pennants under Casey Stengel before going on to become baseball's greatest dynasty. October 1964 is Halberstam's exciting new book about baseball, this time about the last season of that Yankee dynasty. Like the previous book, it is both sports and history, and it is a fascinating account of an electrifying baseball championship against the background of profound social change. The Yankees, like most American League teams, reflected the status quo, and in contrast to the National League teams, had been slow to sign the new great black players. Indeed, for a time, their best scouts were ordered not to sign them. Though the Yankees boasted such great names as Mantle, Maris, Ford, theirs was an aging team. Mantle, hobbled by injuries, was facing his last hurrah in postseason play. By contrast, the St. Louis Cardinals were a young, tough team on the ascent, featuring talented black players Bob Gibson, Curt Flood, Lou Brock, Bill White, who were changing the very nature of the game with their unprecedented speed and power. Halberstam has once again given us an absorbing tale of an exciting season and a great World Series that reflected a changing era in both baseball and the rest of society as well. The fabric that insulated baseball from the turmoil in the rest of the country was beginning to tear. We get intimate vignettes not only of the players, but also of the scouts who signed them, including the black scouts who had been denied the chance to play in the major leagues themselves, and of the new and more irreverent members of the media known as the Chipmunks and their conflicts with the players. A book of keen insight and significance, October 1964 is also, like Halberstam's previous work, a great read. And so I am really looking forward to this. Like I said, with baseball season right around the corner, or excuse me, not baseball season, but the World Series right around the corner, the end of the baseball season, I thought this would be truly fitting. I even thought that maybe, in the time that they play the World Series, maybe that's the time I'll try to get this read, is during that span. So anyways, if any of you have read any of these books, let me know what you think of them. Is this going to be a good October for reading for me? And here's another question. Of the teams headed into the postseason play, who do you think is going to win the World Series? place your bets. So BookTube, this has been my October reading plans for the year 2022. I hope you are all having a great and wonderful day, enjoying the weather as it's finally starting to cool down and feel like fall. And so thank you for watching, and until next time, happy reading.